Hello, and welcome to my latest and greatest film works. I should have scripted this. As you can see, this is a build video, the most average build video you'll ever come across on the internet. To build a drone, you need drone parts. I'm not going to show you how to assemble the frame, because there are dozens of videos on how to do that per frame, and there's no guarantee that you have the same frame as me. One thing that's very important with drone videos that never actually get shown in build videos is planning. I've sat here for at least 10 minutes thinking about how I'm going to build this. Here we got all our lovely things. Yes, wires and things and grommets and here's what we need. These are important. All of these bad boys. Don't lose them. Don't want that one. Want this. Most stacks will probably come with more hardware than you actually need, so that's great. Those in there. Where'd I put them? Here they are. Here's something I'd recommend that everyone would get for their lovely stacks, and it's these standoffs. Not really for the spacing as much as just simply, I didn't think that through. Slide one through, get a little lovely spacer. You'll obviously need lovely tools. Yeah, great. Also, if this is out of focus, oh well. Lovely stack screw, just like that, and that'll keep this screw nice and firmly in place. Look at how nice those look. Amazing, right? Now you could use, the included little grommets, as it comes with all this extra hardware that you don't actually need for the quad. I mean, for the stack itself, more so for other various things. You have like a little washer. I have no clue where you use that. Now you have your little stack screws, and you can grab your fan. Oh, that's closed. This is a 32-bit 55 amp. Come on, out of the bag. You see, look at that. And then you just plop it on wherever. First things first, however, minus the lovely warning labels that I'm going to rip off. I get grommets in here. You got your manuals and stickers. Manuals are very important. I'm going to use these later in the video. A lot of people would say it's very important to make sure it's facing the right way, but it really isn't, because you can rotate it afterwards in the firmware. Some people would put it like this so they can have the battery lead coming out the side and reach the battery. I don't like that because then the plug's going out the side, so we'll just plop in like that. I forgot to put the grommets in. The grommets are always a pain in the ass. These are the bane of my existence. We should have gotten a bowl. Another thing you could really do with is a bowl to put all this stuff in, so you don't have to keep on fiddling with bags. After sitting here for like an hour trying to get these, okay, not really an hour. Anyways, I've been sitting here and I figured out there's kind of like a little trigger. You just slide it in like that, and you just kind of press on it from the back, like going like that way, or towards the loop that's already in, and then you just kind of like just rub it, and eventually it'll pop right in. These little holes, yeah, those are meant for your capacitor. But yeah, use them. Put your capacitor in there. It's lovely. These outer ones is to pull straight battery voltage to something. You can grab it off there. This is the XT60 connector. Now for this, you're gonna need a lot of heat. It would help a lot if you had a pair of helping hands, because these get really hot really fast, and it kind of burns. There we go. You can feel it like drop into the, and that's terrible. I need to fix that. So after longer than I'd like to admit, I have a joint that I'm still not happy with, but this'll do. This is my fear with creating a build video, is I suck at building drones. So yeah, anything's possible if you try. Obviously, do the other side. You can just feed it onto the wire, not onto the iron. Now there is already a little bit of tinsel on these wires, but not enough. If you made it this far, congratulations. My camera's about to die. Hopefully for your sake, yours look better than mine. But yeah, in the end, you'll have a cable. Just do a tug test. Just finished up this lovely cable over here. We're not going to attach it just yet. First, I want to tackle the motors. I have a reason for this. Sometimes the frame comes with the screws. Reason being is because the screws that you get with your motor are not necessarily going to be the correct length. These will do just fine. Now it's very important when you do attach your motors to the frame to ensure that they do not touch the windings at the bottom. On these Mamba motors, you can see there is a piece of plastic to prevent you from shorting and doing damage if you do not notice that your screws are too long. I have gone through the liberty of mounting all the motors so long. I have only used 2 screws, as I will be removing these after they are soldered on. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the ESC upside down, as I will be soldering these motor wires to the bottom pads. We'll be running the motors, if these wires would work with, across and over. Obviously now these will be sitting underneath the flight controller. The only reason why I do it underneath the stack. The only reason why I put it underneath the stack at the whole bottom under the ESC is because if you put it on top and then you put your flight controller over that, you can easily be tapping against the flight controller, which is something you always want to avoid. You don't want cables lying over or underneath the flight controller where they can hit them and messing with your gyro data. I will get these trimmed up to size. Added a little bit of flux to all the pads and the wires themselves. Before you solder them to the pads, obviously you want to pre-tin cables and your pads. Now the ESCs, they tend to take quite a fair bit more effort than the rest, as it's basically a giant heatsink. So we're going to just move it up a little bit, just once it starts taking your golden. Now with these you'll notice that the solder tends to go straight to the bottom. Once again, solder's going onto the iron and not onto the pads, which is what you don't want. You want to heat up the pad enough to melt the solder. Once you are happy, you can move on to the next step, which is the mounting of the motors themselves. And you can use your favorite tweezers or holy tools. This is how it looks. Not the best. Anyone could do better, but I'm going to finish the rest to clean this up. So, as always, just put a little bit of tinsel on your iron. Clean it off. And a little bit. And then we pre-tin the pad, which will take a little bit. Go on, do the other side. Now I've added a liberal amount of flux to these. So my SD card filled up. Could you imagine? Now we've pre-tinned them. We can check that we have our positive and our negative by their respective pads. And there you have it. Next we'll take a look at the capacitor. We can't really put it here because then it would be in the way of the VTX. It will be sitting right here. There, I'd say is cool. Right in the end there. That's what we're going to do. These wires are pretty thin. Can't imagine they're easy to solder to. And there we have it. Put some heat shrink over this, and then we'll put it in the drone. You might remember in the beginning of the video I said something along the lines of planning is very important. Off once more. I'd put it here, but We put the top plate on, it no longer fits. Easy fix, we'll just put it flat, but obviously, if you have a look over here, you can see there, that's where the receiver and VTX would be sitting. So it doesn't fit there, which leaves me with only one option only, and that's to put it over here. Removing the power cables ultimately wasn't necessary, but it was needed in the process. So here we are. My plan is to just solder this here. I'm going to leave these cables the length that they are. They could be a little bit shorter, but I will rely on physics, in other words, pushing it into place to move the cables out of my way. That's your negative side. The other one, obviously, your positive. I'm going to put it, what about there? On the edge is where I want that one. For some reason the camera stopped recording midway, as per usual. It's on good enough, and as you can see, if I raise it up a bit, soldering skills are indeed quite optional. This will just squeeze right in there. Let me just get this into focus. This will just squeeze right in there, like so, leaving just enough space for the accompanying components that will be over here. Now we'll just solder these back in. It's finally on, not the greatest, but it'll do. So now, see, the capacitor just solds that in, slides right on under there, under, I say. Let's have a look. Just put that right there, and screw that on, just hand tight for now. Oh, this is still quite toasty, and this side too, right there. Just move those cables. The standoff, and it goes, and that is that. It will sit right there, just like that. Oh, lovely. Okay, next we will mount the flight controller. That goes forward. Don't need these silly warning stickers. I know exactly what I'm doing. So you'll see there is an arrow pointing forwards, obviously, because that's where it's gotta face forwards. Where else would it face? And then yeah. So here is where the fancy pieces of paper that is bestowed on us by, I think this was the ESC. This was the ESC. This that has been bestowed upon us by the wisdomers, the people who made these electronics. I'll be using this to decide where and what to pre-tin. Obviously we've got our camera, GPS, and receiver. Enjoy that process now. I've soldered pretty much everything I think I need. I have the camera over here. We have cam, ground, 9 volts, 5 volts. I'll be using the 5 volts, even though the camera I will be using can take more. Most cameras don't actually like having more than 5 volts. Some cameras will actually not work at all over that, even though they say they are rated for it. I have my GPS set up here. We have ground, hold on, yeah, 5-volt ground, TX RX, and then these I will be using for the VTX and receiver all in one. That's probably all I need. So first, I think I'll do this, the VTX and receiver. Quite a difficult frame to build now that I've actually had experience with it. Mostly down to the frame design, because it's a low profile frame, but those are going to be inherently more difficult to build. It's just how it goes. Hello, it is I've returned. Say that as if time has gone on for you. It's been mere few seconds. For me it's the following day. I don't know where I left off, so I'll just do a little recap. We put the VTX over here, and I added a cable for smart audio. This lovely purple, blue, whatever you want to call it, that came with the stack. Although I'm pretty sure this is meant for a air unit or something. Anyways, it's meant for the VTX, just not this VTX. This one. So yeah, now we will proceed to trim and solder all of these. 9 volts ground, TX, RX, and then the VTX out. These two will be used for the receiver, although technically UART1 is the default for the receiver, but I'll be using these as a closer. Do them one by one, just for simplicity, so we don't get confused or anything like that. You don't need to do everything at once all the time. You can do them one by one. You can take it slow. Snip it. Close enough. Come on. You need better pliers. Just take a little bit off the edge. That's all you really need, eh? Can I zoom in more? Yeah, I can zoom in just a little bit more. That's it. Yeah, this is all you need. Just a little bit. Actually, hold on. Let me do this. And then you can just like that. Only thing that you should note is your RX on the receiver will go to TX, and TX here will go to RX. It's always a good idea to just tug on your wires a little bit, see if they are indeed properly connected. Next is the camera, and this is the camera I will be using. Cadex FPV Retel 2. Open the box, get a nice little card, which we'll throw away. Then over here you have your camera with the protective cover on it and the ports. Here you can see we have 2 plugs. This is going to be your main 3-pin, which is your power, ground, and video, and this will be for the joystick, which I do not have. Moving on, in the box we also get a bracket, which I will be using, some foam, and here is the hardware. You get a whole bunch of little goodies. Don't lose those. It screws, an Allen key. These Allen keys always go missing, so that's great. A cable to connect to your joystick, which I will not be using because I don't have one, and then a cable to go to your flight controller. I will be cutting off the ends, obviously, because I don't have any plugs. They wrapped this up really tight. How do you even... Okay, I don't like that, because now they're... Okay, I'm gonna cut that off. I don't really like how they did that, because now all my cables are mangled. They could have just folded it over and called it a day. Anyways, we have a wide selection of screws and things, I will be using probably 2 longer ones and some washers. Once I figure out how I'm going to install it, I'll cut back and show you. So after testing various different screw lengths and setups, because to see which works, I've opted for using the longest screws, which is only, if you compare it to the second longest screw, like a millimeter or so longer. You can barely see the difference, but they are indeed different screws. The included washers were a little bit too thin, and the Mamba stack came with 4 slightly thicker black washers, which work out very nicely to keep an all black look in the front. I've opted to use those, which in the end looks like this. We will now see if it actually fits in the quad, as the quad is for, I think, 22 or 20 by 20, whilst this is a 19 by 19 camera. If you at all value your sanity, do make sure you install the camera plates the correct way around. For the Steele 5 frame, this goes to the front. I installed these backwards at least 10 times in a row now, and it's driven me mad. Does not fit. No, it does. Just takes a little bit of effort, and it sits very snugly in the frame. Pretty sure I can actually just, yep, that's how you want it, nice and snug. And look how much nicer the black hardware looks opposed to the silver one. See, you don't even notice it, and that's the goal, really. Let's see if I can make this brighter. No, I can't. But yeah, there you have it. Now that our camera is installed, we can see the length of wire we need, which is almost nothing, but we will leave quite a bit extra, because if you decide to run a higher up tilt, the cable is going to need to increase in length as the camera tilts up and the connectors move down. So do keep that in mind. Unlike other cables that you can have at length, these you do need to leave quite a bit more excess so that you can change your angle on the fly. It's only easier to go from left to right, so that you don't accidentally heat the pad adjacent to you and remove your wire. Just heat up your pad a little bit, and then you can drop your wire over on top of it, which is nice. There you go, and give it a good tug. Nope, I'm not happy with that. Okay. Situations like this, one thing you can do to help remedy is just add a little bit of flux. Come on. There you go. Just giving good tugs so that you know they are indeed in place correctly. Just make sure this is still in the frame. Just hold your wires down and twist them up if you can remember which direction you had them twisted in the first place. This way. Yeah. So the reason why we twist cables is to reduce interference. A lot of video interference actually comes from control link and noise from the ESCs. You'll notice this ESC has a plate on it. Some people would think that plate is a heatsink, when it is in fact just a isolator plate to prevent noise from going towards the stack and fiddling with all your video and gyro data. If I can just figure out which way this plug goes in, that would be great. Press it on in there. Should go in eventually. Okay, me from the future. It does indeed go in like this. It just takes a tremendous amount of effort. I will be adjusting the camera angle and position once it is seated fully. Just tuck the cable down and then press the mounts in. Now, if this were just a freestyle quad, we'd be done. We can put the top plate on and continue. However, there is still one thing left. That is this, a lovely GPS. I have not yet printed a mount for these bags are evil. I have not yet printed a mount for the GPS, but yeah, once I just teleport this out, so we will be using this little guy right here. This is the HDLC hold on. HGL-RC M10 Mini because it's small. It's actually meant for quads much smaller than a 5-inch, like a 4-inch long range or a 3-inch long range. But I like the small footprint of this. You can easily put it in the back without worrying about having something sticking out far, or you could fit it on the arms even if you want to. Opposed to a more traditional full-size GPS, which just takes up a bunch of space. Now, I intend on having this GPS sit right over here. I have not yet made the mount for it, but we will leave quite a bit of excess wire just for the purposes of the GPS. Now, normally you want wires as short as possible so that they have the lowest chance of picking up interference. Always twist your wires so that, you know, also to reduce interference. Some people would shield these cables. You get copper tape and you wrap it in the copper tape. And then you put a ground cable on the copper tape and onto the stack, and then the cable is shielded. I don't think that's quite necessary on a quad like this. We're not after 20 satellites, we just want enough to reliably come home in a somewhat straight line. Now, as you can see, this cable has quite a lot of excess, longer than the entire drone itself. Now, this is for full, well, not quite full size, but I mean like 7-inch drones where you can truly get the GPS far away from all the electronics and carbon fiber. This will predominantly be a freestyle type build, so we will be keeping it nice and close. I am leaving a fair bit of excess over here, and within the drone itself I will be cutting it right about here, and they will be soldered up over here, which is the default pad, I believe. Now, you might be wondering, why do manufacturers... You might be wondering what's this list of UARTs and why is it there when you can change it all in beat flight? Well, you'll notice some flight controllers have their own defaults, and these are all the default layouts. So if you update and just apply the defaults, you wouldn't have to reconfigure anything. However, I have ignored half of this and put them where I wanted anyways. These all a good twist. Here we go. Well, there you have it. Everything regarding the drone, all the electronics is all connected up, and we are nearing the end of this uneventful build. Except there is still one thing that must be handled. Is this a Runcam thumb? In the box you get your lovely Runcam, which just pops up. As you can see, it's very clearly stated that this only takes 5 volts, so do not feed it anything else. The other thing you get in the box is a USB cable. Nice little USB cable. Here's our wires. You get a lovely little TPU mount, for it in the box, and the wires, which is what we care about the most. Now you'll notice there are two sets of wires. There are two sets. There is this one for if you want to set up a UART to start and stop recording. However, I'm not a fan of these due to how it works. It's very easy to mess up and you don't end up recording. So I will be using this and just setting it to start automatically record when it has power. That way, as soon as I plug in the battery of the quad, it will start recording. And there we go, they're now on nice and snugly. I don't like that. Looks like it's just ever so slightly reaching over to the other pad. What we're doing is just pulling it just a little bit. There we go. There we go. That is the final piece of the build. One thing you should do as soon as you finish, soldering all your things, and you want to test your drone, you should use a multimeter and do a continuity check. This just means that if there is a short, it'll beep. So you do this, you just hold on. Connect each side and boom. Now you'll notice that it did beep for a second. This is completely normal. What happens is there is a little bit of capacitance between the capacitance, positive and negative, namely your capacitor. So the multimeter will detect a short until the capacitor is charged. Once it's charged, it goes away. So if it beeps for a second or less, it is not considered a short circuit, and then you know your quad is good. But for good measure, you should still use a smoke stopper when you first plug in your quadcopter. Any smoke stopper will do. Ones like these are nice. These are digital fuses, and means you can reuse them instead of those light smoke stoppers. What you do is you first plug in your LiPo, and you will get a nice little light. And then you can, hold on, let me just make sure you can see this. You plug in your quadcopter and pray. And it works. Everything is golden. Now there is something I would like to point out specific to the Mamba stacks, and that's these LEDs. Oh, let me just pick this up. Pretend you didn't see that. Anyways, what I wanted to point out was these LEDs over here. Now on the Mamba stacks, you have all these LEDs to show you which stuff is and is not working. And you'll see one of them is off. That is so that light is the MCU light. Nothing to worry about as far as I can remember. Now, what I'm going to do is just double check that we are in fact getting video. As you can see, we have a lovely video. Now that we have pried up and confirmed everything works fine, everything's good, normally you'd throw in a top plate, call it a day, and go have a rip. Well, almost. Now I gotta take it all apart again. You might be wondering why. This is why. Conformal coating. We want this to be at least splash proof. You know, water is the nemesis of all. So this assembly is the same as assembly, just in reverse order. Pretty much everything will come out just fine. It's a little bit tight, but yeah. We get everything disassembled and set up ready to coat, and then I'll show you my process of coating them. One thing with conformal coating is you may want to make sure you don't cover your barometer. Now, it's kind of a little bit difficult to see, but this one right here with the small little hole in it, that's the barometer. You want to cover it with something so that you don't get any conformal coating in there. Else it'll stop working. So do avoid that. And having all your plugs filled is a nice way to prevent any conformal coating from accidentally getting in where it shouldn't. If your ESC has a IR shield like this, not a heatsink, all you can do is you can just pry it off. That's it. Okay, I already took this off, but it really doesn't take much effort at all. Just pry it off, and then you can clean off these little pads. We won't be needing them. We will be reinstalling this IR shield. I see they actually have a little bit of shielding on this. On my other ESC, it's just a metal plate. So you want to avoid certain things. You know, you don't want to get it over the buttons. But you can go behind the buttons. So if you want to use this, you'll have to poke a hole in it first. Instead, I will just use a brush. Just brush it over there. Don't worry about the color, it's a normal color. You should do this in a ventilated area, I should add. Yeah, you're supposed to do this in a ventilated area. You just get it all over the switches. You don't want to go over the switches, just behind them. Just where the pads are. For the GPS, I'm just going to add just a little bit, just enough to cover the pads. Then I'm going to move on to the ESC. Let me just move the camera out of the way. Move on to the ESC. I'll show you a little bit better here. So and next, we'll do this guy. Now this stuff doesn't last forever, it will expire eventually, and by expire I mean it'll dry out. So yeah, there you have it, and now you just wait, say an hour, till it's cured, and then you come back and touch up where you need to, or go to the other side if you are satisfied. It is now the next day. I gave it let it rest overnight to cure a little bit. It's still not completely cured. You can see it's still quite a bit flexible and sticky, but that's fine. We will leave it to cure once we are finished with doing everything. Now the last few things that need to be coated are these UFL connectors. You can put coating over them whilst they are connected. It might break loose if they move a lot, but in reality they're probably not going to move all that much. So we're just going to add a bit of conformal coating over those, and anywhere where you might have missed or need extra, you want to put there as well. I didn't even check if this is in focus. Other place that we will be adding a little bit more that I forgot in the previous video is around the focus ring. A few other places where you might want to add some more is on the side of your flight controller and the ESC, specifically the ESC, to cover all of these properly. This is still completely dry, so I will be adding on both sides. You don't need to be stingy with this, especially, I'm not sure how other conformal coatings are. I am using, focus. I am using Hot King. It's what I can get easily, and it does a very good job at extracting heat away from the components. So I'm just gonna add right there over the UFL. If UFL is properly connected, don't worry, it's not going to seep into the plug or anything like that. A little bit over there, a little bit just around the cable to keep it in place. I'm just going to take this brush and just maneuver it around, make sure it's around the edges properly. Now around the focus ring. Again, it's not going to seep into the camera or anything. You do want to avoid getting it on your lens though. That's not quite desirable. I'm just going to point the camera up. There we go. So they can get around to the other side. Just going to put a little bit on the brush and just get in there. The only thing you really don't want this on is like plugs, your sensor, things like that, and the sides of the ESC. You can just hold it like that and just run a little bit over it. It might droop down a bit since it's not standing on its side, but that's okay. You can always just keep adding till it's sufficient if you must. Or you can leave it to stand like this for about 20 minutes and then move on to the other side. You can remove it from plugs once if it does get in there. It's just a little bit tricky, and I'd rather avoid having to do that entirely. Another thing you might want to do is seal the plugs themselves, like this one. Where you got all the wires I'm going to put in here, so you can just put a little bit over it and seal it up. That's not going to stop the plug from working, it'll just keep it closed. I will not be sealing there since I still want to be able to unplug. I'm just going to put like a small bit, just a little bit, just like that. Just enough to keep humidity out, basically. Now I'll be letting this sit for about a day before I do anything more to it, just so that it gets proper opportunity to dry. And that'll be that.